fall for Sabi. He drop my yard, fall for Sabi. Now me white man said he can let drop a fall for Sabi. That's all, short it. That's all, she like it. That's all, double S, I'll be one the adult. That's all, solid. That's all, showstopper. That's all, yo, I'll be one the adult.
Drop a call for Sabi. I drop a yard call for Sabi. No me white better than me because I drop a call for Sabi. I drop a call for Sabi. I drop a hard call for Sabi. No me wife want to leave me cause I drop a call for Sabi.
She want me murder. She want me murder bad. So I can show murder. Right there she bad plan. She want me murder. Sabi want me murder bad. Give it. Give it. Give it. Give it. Give it.
I am an unemployed man living up in Grandy. Solid mine some farm and foul to help feed my family. I am an unemployed man living up in Grandy. Solid mine some farm and foul to help feed my family. Now my neighbor Sabi come and buy a fowl cook for me, but she don't want to pay me till I drop the fowl for she. I drop a fowl for Sabi. I drop a yard fowl for Sabi. Now my wife better than me because I drop a fowl for Sabi. I drop a fowl for Sabi. I drop a hard fowl for Sabi. Now my wife want to leave me cause I drop a fowl for Sabi.
She love me murder. She wants it bad. So me like to controller. She bad yard. Hey, masala. She like it bad. I just call me murder. So I'm
She says she's a star she see me by Sabi. And I was handing she the hard fowl in the gallery. She says she's a star she see me by Sabi. And I was handing she the hard fowl in the gallery. I say girl since she married, your sister don't like me. But last year for she good, I got some hard fowl for she. I drop a fowl for Sabi. I drop a yard fowl for Sabi. Now my wife better than me because I drop a fowl for Sabi. I drop a fowl for Sabi. I drop a hard fowl for Sabi. Now my wife want to leave me cause I drop a fowl for Sabi. I say, girl, when you're in business, the customer come first. And if you don't deliver, the business going to bust. I say, girl, when you're in business, the customer come first. And if you don't deliver, the business going to bust. Why you feel KFC have branches all over? Cause the secret in the business is when you deliver. I drop a fowl for Sabi. I drop a yard fowl for Sabi. Now my wife better than me because I drop a fowl for Sabi. I drop a fowl for Sabi. I drop a hard fowl for Sabi.
If you are looking to have your statutory declaration, affidavit of income, identity, damage or lost passport, lost license, tenancy agreement, agreement of settlement, power of attorney, last will and testament, and certification of documents, then you need to visit the Alistair Collins firm, located at the Killian Mall, 162 Lamaha Street in Georgetown, between Camp and Waterloo Street. Alistair Collins is a commissioner of oaths and a justice of the peace. Make certain you visit him or call for more information at 649-6410 or 685-6448 or 503-1451. And there's adequate parking available. Go down to the Alistair Collins firm and have all of your legal issues settled and brought to the fore. Alistair Collins firm. Contact them at Alistair Collins firm.
All right. Hey, guess what? Good evening. My name is Mark Benschop, and we are going to rock and roll for 1 hour straight. Lots of things, lots and lots of things we want to talk about. You know what those things are, some very, very serious matters. Topping the list is that murder, that brutal murder, the police assassination, that extrajudicial killing out in Dartmouth, Essequibo. The people were out, they were protesting, they were doing what was necessary at that time and still continues to be necessary. With me this evening is, guess who? My co host, Miss Vanessa Kisoon. She's with us this evening. We are going to rock and roll for 1 hour straight. This is serious business. It is not any sort of foul pen, kind of like a yard foul, Christmas blow blow kind of thing. We don't behave like that. We are going to tell you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. That is what we do here on Straight Up 107.1 FM. So, good evening to all of you. Thank you for sharing. Let us say good evening to Miss Vanessa Kisoon. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, Mark. Let me first say Almighty God is great, and I must say I'm thankful that we're all in the land of the living. We could have been somewhere else, but by God's grace, we're all here tonight. Yourself, myself, your viewers, listening audio, and also those watching us live. So I want to first of all give God thanks and praise for life. We ought to be appreciative of the life that we have tonight. So, and of course, I am glad to be your co-host tonight, Mr. Benschop.
Well,
and remember that facial expression. That facial expression is only for a certain time and a certain people.
So then, of course, you wouldn't get that sort of facial expression. But I tell you what, you will get this kind of facial expression. Right. So good evening, and I'm glad that you're here. You're my co-host. I'm not here to interview you or whatever, but we are going to talk. What do you want to begin with, Miss Kisoon?
Well, Mark, I think there's so many things that are happening, but on the burner tonight, we have a family that is mourning, and I want to believe. I heard you spoke about him, Orin, just now, the young man from Dartmouth. So it is really sad, and I want to take this opportunity on behalf of myself and family to extend condolences, deepest condolences to his family, and also his family, friends, and loved ones. You know, it's not easy losing a loved one, and so we extend condolences tonight to the family.
Of course, we extend condolences to the family. His wife, we spoke with her earlier in the day. I had a brief program there with Dr. David Hines, who was on, along with Member of Parliament Sherwin Holder, who's representing Region Number 2. And I spoke with a couple other family members as well, and they are in pain, and quite understandably so. The police, I don't know, something is definitely wrong, and this incident should not be placed under the rug at all. Vanessa, I tell you what, and the listeners, I've gone through.
Mark, I'm not hearing you properly. You're breaking up. I'm not sure if you're hearing me, but you're breaking up. Your words are not coming clear.
Oh yeah, I'm hearing you loud and clear. Let me just double check with our listeners. I don't know what is happening, but are you guys hearing us loud and clear? Because Miss Kisoon is saying that I'm breaking up. She's not.
Yeah, you're breaking up terrible.
Are you guys? Let us get this from a little bit of feedback from our listeners. And good evening to all of you. Konifa, good evening to you. Good to see that you're on. I know these things really, really get you and others very emotional. So let me get a little feedback from you guys, Hazel Nestor and others. Are you guys, there we go, Maybell Lewis, good evening to you. They're hearing us loud and clear.
They're hearing, I don't know, but you're breaking up. When you're speaking, I'm not hearing. Your words are breaking. So I'm just picking up pieces of what you're saying.
All right, Cully Allen says yes, loud and clear. I don't know, maybe we'll have to start a GoFundMe to get you a nice brand new laptop.
That would be much appreciated. Once it's coming from Mark Benschop, it's much appreciated,
And not from the
and
other
it will be
person
accepted.
and not from the other person who many years ago promised you 5 computers. 5 computers. I'm not going to call that person's name, but I'm glad that folks are hearing us loud and clear. Thank you for sharing the link. We will continue now. This sort of police brutality and extrajudicial killing is no stranger. It's nothing new for us. Those of us who have been through in the struggle, who fought against this sort of injustices, on numerous of occasions. We spoke earlier about the Shaka Blair. This is reminiscent of what happened to Shaka Blair when Black Clothes Police went into his house out there in Buxton. It happened on either April 4th or 5th, somewhere around that time. And they walked into his house. In fact, they kicked down the door. They went into his bedroom. His wife was lying right there next to him, along with some of his kids. And guess what? They murdered him. They shot him point blank, killed him. And I recall because I went a few minutes after that, I was in Buxton, right there at Shaka Blair. And for many of you who don't know, that is Shaka Blair with his son. His son is probably, obviously, a big guy today. This has been very, very troublesome period. It has been a traumatic period out there for the Buxtonians. Probably still is for many people, but that is Shaka Blair. He was murdered. Similar fashion that this young man, Mr. Boston, was actually murdered. We have seen, and I have been on the scene, dozens of other, including the Mandela trio that was murdered by members of the Black Clothes Police again. You know, we have protested. We have been there with the family members. So when I speak here, I speak of firsthand knowledge as to what the police did in terms of extrajudicially killing, slaughtering, murdering citizens and citizens who were unarmed. But this time around, this so-called SWAT team got caught with their pants down. I have noticed that only one SWAT team member is under close arrest. Every single one of them should be under close arrest. Vanessa?
Yes, well, Mark, we know what to expect from this government. And what is so sad, and it reminds me of 2018. This is when you have the coercive or arm of the government. When, imagine you have divisional commanders and all of these. Why is it that they cannot handle these matters? Why is it we have to have the SWAT team coming that time, the wee hours in the morning, into this young man's home? And like I keep saying, these are things that we expect under this regime. And so what gives us this assurance, Mark, we're back to where we were when we were afraid not only to go into the streets, we were afraid to be even in our own homes. And every time we're on this regime, these are the things that happen. Not forgetting all the other persons who went missing. Families are still wondering what happened to their loved ones. We're back into that arena, and it brings back to my memory. I don't know if you can pull up that song. How many more? How many more? We starting to see again blood running in the streets like water. How many more? You understand? Why is it that every time the PPP in government, we have to have so much bloodshed? We have to have so much fear. You're driving fear into people. You're threatening people's livelihood, and so we need to understand, because, Mark, any one of us could be a Mr. Boston right now. Any one of us. We could go to sleep, God forbid, and tomorrow morning you could hear some SWAT team kick down Miss Kisoon's door. What makes any of us safe? You understand? And every time you're out there protesting or you're out there speaking out for your rights, people feel that they have to come and gun you down. You remember Crummy Wing? You understand? And every time we were out there, remember Shemroy, Ron and Alan, and these persons were gunned down innocently because we're standing up for our rights. And we're back into this position again. How many more? How many more mothers going to be crying again? Daughters and sons, we're going to be crying again. We already started. This thing has started, and we need, Mark, we need to ensure that we come. Listen, I said it last night. If we don't put a stop into this, and this is not just a physical battle, we have to protest, we have to sound our voice. It's also a spiritual battle. We have to get into warfare. You understand? And we need to ensure that we call on our God, because we will be, we not we will be, we start crying again. It started. And you know what's amazing? You know what's amazing? That I saw today when not today, I remember when Jagdio and them, when with the minister vehicle and so on. Nobody was locked up, you know. Nobody was gunned down after. Nobody's doors were kicked open afterwards, you know. And because these people know, and because they recognize that they do these things, and it seems as if, you know, we sit back and we accept these things, they continue to do these things. And so they feel that they can come again, and they continue. I want to call on my mothers and my fathers out there. It is time that we come together and we stand. Every region, we need to come out in our numbers. We need to come out and ensure that our voices are sound. Any one of us could be a Mr. Boston tomorrow.
Absolutely. Anyone, if you're now hearing or now joining, there's a young man, 29 years old, out in Dartmouth, Essequibo, was brutally murdered, gunned down this morning by members of the Guyana Police Force. They're calling it a SWAT team. I don't know how inexperienced those guys are, but it's pretty obvious from the evidence that they are indeed inexperienced. And the police has issued a press release saying that one member of that SWAT team, in fact, the one who pulled the trigger, was actually is actually under close arrest, and an investigation has been launched. And guess what? An investigation has been launched by the police, so they are investigating themselves. I know of lots of police murders where the police, from the Professional Office of Professional Responsibility, that is headed by a senior former police officer, and they are the ones who are investigating this matter. The last matter that they were investigating was over 3, 4, maybe 5 months ago, a young man by the name of Headley, where the police shot and killed him in his own car. To this day, the family is still awaiting justice. In fact, a few weeks ago, I heard from the mother who asked, what is happening with her son matter? What exactly is happening? And I was very straight up with the woman. I said, you know what? They have pushed that under the rug. They're not going. You are not going to get justice. And unfortunately, hundreds of mothers are still crying because they haven't gotten justice for their sons. Unfortunately, we are heading down the same path. So what the police did, Vanessa and others, is that they're claiming now that one policeman is under close arrest. Again, and most of you who are watching and listening would agree with me that all of the policemen on that SWAT team should be under close arrest. I don't know
Exactly.
what you're yeah.
But Mark, I agree with you, because the thing is, you go there as a collective, and now you're putting one person, and we know, like you said earlier, these matters, all of a sudden, the police force cannot solve matters. They were solving matters quickly the other day, you know, things were being done, and now you're taking forever, and we know that this matter will go like the others, take forever, unless the people stand up against this injustice. And I keep saying it, we have to. If people realize every time they do something they get away with it, you understand, they will keep doing it. They will keep doing it. And so we will have mothers. And I'm saying this, I want us to understand, because Mark, like I said, it could be any one of us. It could be any one of us crying for our sons tomorrow morning. It could be any one of us waking up to a kick down door or something, a SWAT team, and who is making these policy calls that at any given time, any one of us could be like Orin or be an Orin, Boston. And we're, you know, Mark, something is wrong. Why is it every time the PPP is in government, we see so much bloodshed, we see so much murders, we see so much accidents, we see something is wrong. Something is wrong. And I ask the question again, my people, how many more? And when will, all I'm going to be calling for is a wake up call. It's a wake up call to the Guyanese people, a wake up call. Because while you're having this being done on this one side, you're coming on the other side to bribe us with stuff, you know, and you continue your divide and rule policy. So you're giving some people benefits because they would have accepted or they would have consented to something while you're disregarding others. All right. So it's a plan by the government to divide the country, and it's a plan to divide the people. And sometimes, you know, we fall for these things because we don't remember. And the people who forget their past is bound to repeat it. And I pray, Mark, that we don't forget our past and we don't head down that road again.
I pray to Vanessa Kissoon, a former member of parliament and, a fighter out there in Linden and outside of Linden as well, the entire Region 10. And when you do speak, you speak on behalf of a lot of voiceless Guyanese. And so I thank you for accepting my invitation for co-hosting this evening. Let us head to this, and I do apologize. This is the body of the late Boston. And this is what happened. Police barged into his house, in his bed, kicked down his room door whilst he was lying there with his wife, and they executed him. They're claiming now, look, he got shot in his upper arm there. They're claiming that there was this fight, or there was this struggle. I don't know what sort of struggle this was. That if there was a struggle, and this man got shot in his upper arm. I don't know. It seems to me, it appears as though that he was shot while he was lying still in bed. That is how they shot him. Maybe he attempted to turn after he woke up and he heard them cursing. They barged into his home, kicked down his door, and shot him next to his wife. His children were in that house. That is what happened. And the funny thing is, maybe not that funny, one policeman is under close arrest, one, and not the entire team. I don't know, our listeners are and those who are watching are very smart people. They're not illiterate. They're intelligent people. They're reading between the lines. They know exactly what happened, that the police got there and they shot this guy, of course, out of some sort of malice. What is interesting also, Ms. Kissoon and others, is that the police report said that they heard that there were activities, illegal activities in the region, suspicious stuff. It is as though somebody was going to assassinate somebody. And so they swooped down in the region. Days after Irfan Ali went there with hundreds of soldiers and policemen to protect him. God in heaven knows why he's so afraid of his own fellow Guyanese. And so they swooped down into that region that is, according to Hoppy, the acting commissioner of police. They went into 3 homes. Mr. Boston's home is one of them. They found absolutely nothing illegal.
An unarmed man too.
Not even a razor blade they found. They shot him. They killed him in front of his wife. Back to you, Vanessa.
Yes, Mark. And imagine Mr. Boston was unarmed. This man is lying there with his wife. And you're saying about a struggle? What struggle? And they're there with guns, more than one of, I don't know, how many of them were there? 5, 10? You have a number? That this one man unarmed, lying next to his wife, give this police such a struggle that they shot him. One police shot him too, and they didn't have to hold him down to shoot him. If there was a struggle, you understand me, Mark? I don't know. How come it is there was a struggle, and then now you have one person under close arrest, and not the entire SWAT team? And
The
why
thing
is
is,
it we have to have a SWAT team?
the thing is, this guy is not known. He's not on the police radar. He's not known to be a criminal.
Nothing.
Nothing of the sort. No arrest record. Probably a little. You know how police operate, right? I know how a lot of those police operate. They feel as though they
We
can
do.
tell you anything, and you got to shut your mouth. But when you speak up
Yeah.
back to them, they says you're being confrontational. Like, who the heck are some of these police that you can't respond to them? And so I agree with you that this guy, Mr. Boston, lying there in his bed, 4 o'clock in the morning next to his wife, right? They barged in there, heavily armed, and they are telling us that there was a confrontation? I don't know.
You imagine that. Now imagine you're lying there, Mark. You're lying there, you're sleeping, and you hear all this noise, and so the first thing is fear. You're probably scared. You don't even know how to respond. But you're talking about, and that's the other thing with this government, these installed people, the lies. And apparently it filters down. And whenever the PPP in government, like the police forces become, I don't want, I gotta find a term. They become what?
Some of them,
Something
some
about
of them,
them, something about
evil,
them. They become
possessed,
trigger happy, trigger
possessed,
excited.
possessed.
Something
Yeah.
about the police force under
You,
this regime.
you,
That
you,
every time they're in government, we have these sort of activities happening.
you
What
know,
is it, Mark?
Miss Kisoon, 4 o'clock in the morning, these police barged into this man's house. What if this man was armed? They barged in there unannounced. Nothing of the sort. He's not no wanted man. Absolutely nothing. There is something, I'm sure they don't even have a search warrant for these places. But they feel that they are above the law, that they could kick down somebody's door, barge into their homes, shoot them, and kill them. Now, look, let us look at this scenario. What if this man had a gun? And this man thought that it was thief men, because that's how they barge into the man's house, like criminals, as though they are bandits, right? What if this man took that weapon, if he had a weapon? We know he didn't have any weapon. The police have already said that. But what if he had a weapon and he decided to spray them in order to defend himself and his family? Because they barged in there unannounced. They have some bandits that put on police uniforms, and there are some police who are bandits who are in their uniforms as well. What if this guy defended himself? If he had a weapon, he defended himself and sprayed them up. You were saying something.
Yeah, well, I was about to say, if he had defended him, if he was given that chance and he was able to defend himself, you first thing you would have heard that he shoot at the police. The police or the SWAT team who entered his house, no arrest warrant, no search warrant, just kick the man door down, no warning that we coming in, no nothing at all. You understand? And when you react now, because even in the Bible, you're supposed to protect your house and your family. So once people coming in like that, unannounced, that over the morning, you understand, a man is supposed to stand up and protect himself and family. But this man was sleeping, Mark. He was sleeping. There was no chance of him being able to probably get up, even if he had a weapon, let's say, to defend himself. You understand? How they kicked that door down, I could just imagine, and barging on those people. I could imagine how that wife is feeling right now. Eh? How that woman is feeling right now. To know that tonight that space on that bed is no longer occupied by the man that she loved, and the man that was supposed to be there to protect her, and of the taken out by some SWAT team under this wicked regime. Eh? And then at the end of it, you get no justice. You get no justice.
Absolutely no justice. And again, this brings back to what happened in 2002, April 5th, I believe, out in Buxton. just after midnight, maybe around 1 o'clock, closer to 1 o'clock in the morning, where Black Clothes Police barged into the home of Shaka Blair. He was lying in bed with his wife, I believe at that time his 2 kids, and the police executed him. In fact, they murdered him right there cold-bloodedly. They didn't shoot him on the top of his arm. They murdered him in front of his wife. And I was there. I interviewed the wife. So I can only imagine how this wife, Mrs. Boston, is feeling right now. I spoke with her about
I
2 or
tell
3
you,
times today,
it is
and
sad.
I can only imagine how she's feeling. She had a conversation with the acting opposition leader, with other family members. They were on the phone talking, and we all felt the pain. You know, I don't know. This is very emotional. Go ahead, Vanessa.
And his
Go
mother
ahead.
too, Mark. His mother, no mother desire is to bury their children. No mother's desire, no father's desire is to bury their children. We as parents, we always want to. We have that saying that our children will bury us. We don't want that. At least as a parent, I know these are not the things that we desire. This young man was what you said, 29 years old. It's 29.
According to report, yes, he was 29 years old. Oren
29 years
Boston.
old. 29 years old, Mark. This young man is now in his prime to his future, with his wife and they just come in. Listen, sometimes we gotta just as we old people say, Mark, you talk half and you left half. But they
Sometimes
got
we
a
gotta.
old saying. They got a old saying: once a police, twice a civilian.
I don't know, but I'm again concerned about this whole thing. And we all should be concerned, regardless of our political affiliation, regardless of our
Exactly.
ethnicity, whatever. Because I know a lot of our Indo brothers who were murdered as well. A couple of them, Azad Bacchus and his 2 nephews on the quarantine, was shot and killed, murdered by the Berbice anti-smuggling squad back in 2002, or yep, I believe 2002. So the people were protesting. I was there on the ground. I know. I was there with the family members of Azad Bacchus, who was accused of being a pirate, a high sea pirate. He was murdered. Murdered. There were other folks who were murdered. Fishermen were murdered in the police lockups and all these sort of things. So those cases, all of these cases, especially when I hear of this particular case today, it brings back, Miss Kisoon, it brings back lots
Memories, Mark.
and lots of memories. Look at what happened in Linden when they murdered those 3 innocent young,
Yes.
I don't know. Look at this photograph in Buxton. Look at how they invaded that village. They're not going to invade any other village like how they have invaded Buxton. And look the fear on that woman's face. Just look at what is happening. Those dark days, Miss Kisoon. Those dark days.
And Mark, I'm wondering where are our human rights at this time. And I'm feeling so at this moment, we don't have human rights. There's no longer any human rights. We don't have human rights in this country anymore. And like I said again, under this regime, people's rights are always being violated. The human rights of people are being violated. And then there's no justice in the end. No justice. We have mothers and wives and daughters and sons, tears. We back again, blood running in the streets like water. People being shot down in their homes. It have started. If it's not women being murdered by their loved ones, then and sometimes I want to bring this to you. It's a trend of blood. It's a trend of blood.
A trend
We
of
always
blood.
have to have blood shedding
Whenever
under this regime.
And the funny thing is, though, as much as we speak English, sometimes I wonder whether some of these individuals in the installed regime do understand English. because they're going to run away and they're going to say, they're going to spread this and peddle this propaganda that Kisoon and Benschop and others are anti-police. Because we're talking about this particular incident where this young man, Mr. Orrin Boston, was murdered by members of the Guyana police force. We are not painting all the police officers, men and women, with the same brush. We are not. There are lots of good policemen and women out there. We know that. We salute that. We respect them. But there are some.
And Mark, let us not forget, this is the SWAT team.
Exactly.
This is a special team put together. The SWAT team. You understand?
You know what they're going to say happened? This is what they're going to say happened. That they got information that they got information that X, Y, and Z, that the guy was basically, they heard that he may have guns, he may have all sort of things they're going to say. And then they are going to say, because remember, they have one of the policemen under close arrest. Don't be surprised that you're going to hear now that the policeman accidentally, look out for that word, accidentally pulled the trigger. It was an accident. They are going to quickly come up with a compensation for the family to hush things up. They are going to say it was an accident. Would you be surprised if they say that?
No, nothing with this government surprises me, Mark. I don't know about you, and I know you probably like me, and I know that even the viewers and listeners right now, they agree with us. There's nothing about this government that this installed regime that is surprising, and we know how they will come with all the different types of cover-ups, and that's why I'm talking about human rights, because our rights are being violated, and then they will come with something, try to hush family members up, hush people up, brush it under the carpet, come with some flimsy excuse, and of course, because we're said to be mentally retarded and we can't read and comprehend for ourselves, then we'll shove this to them. We'll say this is what happened. They got to accept that. And then we go again until we hear of some other innocent life taken by this SWAT team.
You know,
that this installed regime put together, the coercive arm of the government. Just like what happened in the 2012 in Linden here, when the minister, it is the minister who gave the instruction, you understand? And the instruction didn't come from the person in charge there. I think Hickins was given that instruction directly, came from the minister. So these are the type of things that we are under again. You know, our rights, constitutional rights are being violated. So we have to, I don't know, Mark, this is sad. I am really, really, you know, it just to imagine, I mean, you're a family man and you know what it is to go to bed there, you know, your children in your home, your wife, your family, and to know, imagine you're lying there, you're sleeping, you're home, you feel free, you're in any state, you know, you're probably not wearing clothes, the woman probably not in you, I don't know, and to think that
they're not concerned about that.
Oh my goodness.
In 2001, there was this shooting, this extrajudicial shooting of a young man in Agricola by the name of Cyborn. Cyborn was slaughtered, murdered by the Black Clothes Police in front of his wife and his children in Agricola. I was there.
You see, Mark, and this has happened, Mark.
The family gone through. Yeah, go ahead.
This happened, and we have to see, because we're more concerned, you know, as some persons are coming out to say it is wrong to call people names and it is wrong to do all of this. I'm waiting to see all these persons putting up now, you understand, what was the rights of these people that were violated, and sending out to Mr. Boston's wife and all of that. I'm waiting to hear them call out the Guyana, the SWAT team and the police force. I'm waiting to hear them call the minister out. I'm waiting to see the posts to say that, this is wrong and we shouldn't do this and we shouldn't encourage this. I'm waiting to see all of them who've been putting up posts and this thing and talking about how we should behave and how we shouldn't behave, and they're not going to address situations like this where our human rights, constitutional rights are being violated. People are being murdered. This is a 29-year-Mark, I have a 24-year-old son. I have a almost 15-year-old son. I have a 12-year-old son and an 11-year-old daughter. I have a 23-year-old daughter. I have a nephew I take to be my son. He's 4. I know what it is. I have so many other young people under my wings. And it would pain me to see them lose their life in their prime in a manner like this, Mark.
Ms. Kisun, these folks in the regime don't care. As they feel that they have the power and the authority to call people all sorts of names, low down, dirty, shameless names. They feel that they have that authority to do that. But as soon as somebody hog back with them, they get upset, they get petty, they suffer from infliction of emotional distress. They start to cry, they start to shed crocodile tears, and they get all these sleeping organizations to come out and to say that it is so wrong. It is an attack against women. How can you dare? But that same woman, they attack people every single day, attack nurses, attack teachers. Those nurses and teachers are people's wives, sisters, and girlfriends and fiancés.
Exactly.
And so forth. How do they feel? They're heartless people in that.
Exactly. Because look, the nurses in Linden, when those women, when the CEO said, talk about those nurses, those female nurses, instead of nobody call him out, instead he was replaced. He was in fact fired, and then the vice president or whoever instructed that the man go back on duty. So these nurses, these females, I don't know, is it because they're of a certain class, color? I don't know. So when they're being treated a certain way and called names and say things about them, it is okay. Let him go back to work. Y'all go back and sit down, accept it. But then when people call names to teachers or to parents, whether it's illiterate, it's unconscionable, miscreants, all these things, and when you're being responded to now, all of a sudden, like you say, Mark, and it's a thing with them, they know how to come crying for pity.
Crocodile
they know how to come,
Yeah.
And they come crying, and then people are jumping out there to say that it is wrong what you're doing, but they're not seeing, they weren't seeing, or they didn't hear something is wrong. Something is wrong. Is it that we have gotten so accustomed to treating us or a certain set of people a certain way? It becomes a norm. So when you say things about them, it's okay. You don't need to defend them. It's okay. You understand? It's okay because they're accustomed to these things. This is madness, Mark.
When that heavy-set guy, that CEO for Linden Hospital complex, disrespected the female nurses, where were these?
Exactly.
Where were these trench crappos in the PPP? Where were they? Where were these wild hogs in the PPP? Where were they? Where were these yard fowls in the PPP? They never once said, or they never once say, well, look, it was disrespectful to say that the nurses, the female nurses, of course, at the Linden or the Mackenzie Hospital, they clock in and they leave and go sleep with their sweet men. They never said, none of these trench crappos and wild hogs and yard fowls ever said that that was disrespectful towards women. They never said that, because you know why? They agreed. They don't have any respect for women at all. They only use this.
Exactly.
That's what it's about. But we caught up with their games. Let's move on to this troubling report, this very troubling report about the Sputnik V vaccine. We are hearing that thousands of persons have only been given one shot of the Sputnik V, but because of the government's negligence, the installed regime's negligence, the people can get a second dose. And a lot of these folks who can get a second dose have been infected. In fact, some of them who have gotten both doses, mainly of the Sputnik V, have died. Worrisome. How concerned are you, Ms. Kisoon, about this situation that the government is hiding?
All right, Mark. You broke up a bit, but I think I got I think I got what you were asking. It's about the Sputnik V. Mark, like I keep saying, I don't know, and I'm not a medical person, all right? But when you give the first dose, and my understanding that there's a particular time before you can get the second dose, or you should get the second dose. And I heard of the Sputnik V, the dates of these things, they're expired dates. They have expiry dates on these vaccines and so on. So I am not sure of this Sputnik V that the government is now going to be, I think they're going to be giving, this is the first set, the another set they're going to be giving us first dose, because I know that there are persons who received the first dose and they didn't get the second dose. All right. And so at this juncture, it's confusion. And like we keep saying, because of no proper planning, because there's no proper planning to handle this entire pandemic, and all the government is interested in is to saying that, oh, we have so many people vaccinated, not taking into consideration people still waiting on second dose. You understand? You're giving some now first dose. Those people don't know when they will get their second dose. You're hearing all sorts of things about this Sputnik V. And so where to the I don't know if the 25 GDF officers, the cadet officers, if it's the Sputnik V they received or what. So it's confusion all around, Mark. That's all. That's it's confusion, and that is why I keep saying that people got concerns about all that is happening with this whole vaccination process and the whole handling and managing of the COVID-19 and this pandemic, and even now as it relates to the distribution of these vaccines.
You know, Ms. Kisoon, I'm glad that you've mentioned the cadet officer. Those officers, those folks who are in the cadet officers course for the Guyana Defense Force, 24 of them are or have been tested positive. They are in isolation now, and 24 of them. I spoke with at least two parents today. One of them called me, was very concerned, and the question that I asked, I said, have your son taken the vaccine? The individual said, yes, my son took the vaccine. He is fully vaccinated. And that father is very concerned about his son and the other cadet individuals who are in that cadet officers course. They're very concerned. I don't know how many of them are fully vaccinated. I don't know. But according to information, it appears as though most of them are fully vaccinated.
Yeah.
Most of them are fully vaccinated. I can put my head on the block that they have used. Most of them have used the Sputnik V vaccine.
Sputnik V.
And
that's why I asked the question.
Yeah. Then the Minister of Health has a heck of a lot of questions to answer concerning the Sputnik V. Is it the correct Sputnik V? Is it the real Sputnik V?
Exactly.
Or is it some sort of counter Sputnik V that the people are using?
Mark, wasn't it bought from some middleman? The original man sent the minister to the middleman, and some mix-up thing. Wasn't it the Sputnik V? Isn't that the same Sputnik V we're talking about? And so you understand why you have persons in this country who are skeptical about consenting, and even more so now for their children to be vaccinated. You understand? Because of these things that are, and let me say this, there are a lot more cases where you have persons who, even with the AstraZeneca, that were fully vaccinated and still contracted the COVID. But because persons, I think it's now becoming a stigma, you know, as if you have COVID or you contracted the coronavirus, it's like a little stigma. So persons are afraid or ashamed to speak out to say, well, I was fully vaccinated with the AstraZeneca or the Sputnik V, and I contracted the COVID. And this is happening because the if you notice, Priyamani Chan and Frank Anthony, I don't see ministers there. They are they are using the vaccinated against the unvaccinated, and so these
And not
cases,
only that, they're using, Miss Kisoon, the vaccinated, the unvaccinated, and the partially vaccinated now.
vaccinated
You know, these
exactly,
folks.
and so
Some
we're causing now all these divisions, and we're causing people. So some persons who are vaccinated, and Mark, I'm concerned. And I don't touch on certain aspects because, like I said, I'm not a medical person, so I'm not going to touch on certain things, but these are just questions that will flow through people's minds, because people will be wondering now, if you're fully vaccinated, you contract the virus. Persons are questions in the air is that could these people transmit this the virus. But like I said, we're not medical persons, we will not venture into these areas. But what it says now is that even with teachers, and these are the questions that are being asked, you're going back into school now, you open. I think now what, about 17 schools, the numbers increase. The schools gotta close. Another thing is, Mark, last week Monday, you heard that some schools had to be closed because of coronavirus. But yet still this week, these schools are up and running. I thought it was a specific 14 or 10 days. You have to have this quarantine. The school had to be properly sterilized again, sprayed and all of that before um, this we can reopen again. And now I'm seeing that schools are operating, that only last Monday, Tuesday time, you heard they had to close their doors because teachers or students or auxiliary staff contracted the disease. But yet still this week, I'm talking up to yesterday and today, those doors are open. And I'm concerned with parents who are taking their little babies, the grade um 1 and grade 2 students, to school at this moment. We need to ensure that we have these things covered properly. And I bring it back again. And I know Mrs. Solomon always want to hit on this. Where is the plan? Even with the reopening of schools. So now what we're doing, Mark, we're giving vouchers, we're calling teachers, we're giving them a 4,000 here and a 5,000 there. The picture has to be on a voucher. Why do you have to have a picture on a voucher? You shared 19,000 the other day, give it to parents, but now teachers have to put teachers, so it's from because we care to teachers welfare, because because we care to teachers welfare. And so now only the vaccinated teachers I think are could access these vouchers and access these benefits, as they call it. And now you're suddenly giving laptops and free internet, and you're only giving it to the vaccinated. So what are you saying when now we see 25 or 24, I think you said, GDF officers? We're not sure if all of them are fully vaccinated, but what we know is that they're saying at least, even if not fully, half vaccinated, as you call it. And so they contracted the COVID. How do we know how many teachers? We're asked to go out into the schools. Are those persons going to be doing the PCR too, then Mark, let us make the PCR free. Let all teachers, you understand what I'm saying, Mark? Let everybody do the test. Negative, we go into school, same thing for the students, and let's um have this situation handled better. But now what we're doing, we're coming now, and this is the bribing part now with the PPP. So they got the killing part, the wicked part, the murder part. Now they're coming with the bribing part. Mark, where are we? What is wrong? Something is wrong. And that is why people are seeing us as mentally retarded. You understand? That is why people can say that they have to see every child as having an illiterate parent. You understand what I'm saying? And teachers are being placed there. But even the individual that said that is a parent. And so you could understand why these decisions are being made haphazardly, how there's no proper plan. Because that individual that made that statement that said you need to see every child as having an illiterate parent, my God, that person is a parent. The child wrote grade 6 exams this year here. So you could imagine, Mark, why we're seeing the type of decision making that we're seeing, because we have to consider what that individual said. So I am not sure where we are, but I cannot handle the fact that we're now coming to bribe teachers with a 5,000 and a 4,000 and a I think I saw a laptop, I'm not sure, but it's from Because We Care to Teachers Welfare. And the ministry, I don't know that welfare means giving people shoes money or giving people some some laptop. You understand? Welfare has to do with a lot of things, Mark, even as far as counseling. And I think that individual needs some counseling. You understand? They need some help, and we will have to, I know you know a lot of persons, Mark. Maybe we can seek some professional help
No,
for
no.
for that.
I wouldn't recommend them for professional help.
Okay, Mark.
Fact,
I respect that.
thank you. I will recommend them though, and I'll even support taking them to that the psychiatric hospital there right next to Kanji Bridge, because I have more respect for those patients there than I have for these individuals. But that's where they belong, and take those people out of there. And I prefer to put those people at the psychiatric ward there. I prefer to have them run the country than these psychiatric
I am
patients
telling you, Mark, something is wrong. Something, and the other thing is, you're telling persons, this is another thing we're not promoting a lot. You need to encourage people. You're giving all these, you're now giving vouchers. People's immune systems need to be built. People need to be directed into a certain eating pattern. Why aren't we advising people? Where are the dietitians and the nutritionists and so on? These are the type of advice people need. What you should eat, how much
so
you should
wait
eat.
a minute. Wait a minute, Miss Kisoon. Do you expect Priya Manik Chan and Irfan Ali to advise people on proper food to eat?
No. I don't expect them. They're not the policy makers. I expect the people who are the policy makers who should be advising them. And that is the other thing, Mark. They don't take advice. They run out there. So they're everything. You imagine you're supposed to be dealing with education, but you're not listening to the people who's supposed to be advising you. And many times it happens like that. It is in theory that you're supposed to have your people there, the policy makers there advising you, you know. It's in theory, but in practical, these people make their decisions and they tell the policy advisors what they want to be said or what they want to go out there.
Because
We're in a state of madness.
Charity begins at home, because the policy advisor should understand. Oops, I'm sorry that I scare the listeners, but charity begins at home. Seriously, charity begins at home. I don't expect that these folks are going to be telling people what to eat, proper food to eat. Charity begins at home. Now, let's get back to the free testing for COVID-19 and so forth. It's a money-making thing. And the regime, they have their friends and cronies. Some of them own private hospitals and so forth, are in this for the business, to rip off people, to fleece poor people in that country.
Exactly.
20,000 for one test, 15,000 for another test, 10,000, $50 for one test. How do they expect a family of maybe 4 or 5 or 6 to go and get a test to see whether or not they are positive or negative? How do they expect people to survive? Sometimes people might have symptoms, but they cannot afford to go and get a test. So
Mark,
what do you
Mark,
think
they
happened?
know this, Mark, they know that people can't afford it. They know it. But what they're doing, because they're saying to you, it's not mandatory, the vaccine. They're saying that to you. And I think we said that last night. It's not mandatory. However, they've put you in a situation where your back is against the wall here. So it's going to come down to, oh gosh, I can't access the bank. I can't access the supermarket. I can't get this. I can't get that because I can't afford going to the bank. You have to make an appointment. Then you have to do the PCR. It got to be within a certain time and all of that. And everywhere you go, you got to do another one. So it's like before you're finished, you got to do like 4 PCR tests in 1 week before you could go here, there, and everywhere. While they're filling their friends, and as we call them, the fat cats and the cronies, they're filling their pockets because they're now telling you, imagine you go to the bank and they're saying to you, no, we cannot listen to what the medical people, whether the COVID center, is saying to you or whatever. We're going with the government. Even if you have a clearance from the COVID center in your area or whatever, you have a clearance showing that so many days and so on, you should not be retested now, whatever. They're saying to you, we cannot accept that. You have to bring a negative PCR test. So no matter where you go, they're putting you in a position where at the end of the day, you must boil on to say, well, you know what, I'm going to take this vaccine because I'm a children got to live. And the thing is, give people the PCR. If you're saying to them you're accepting a negative PCR, then make it accessible. Give it free. Let the Guyanese people, teachers serve this nation. The nurses and doctors, they serve the nation. They're doing a service. Why can't you make these testing? Listen, Mark, another thing is the pensioners. I spoke to one the other day. The woman is saying she don't know what will happen. She has so much underlying conditions. She cannot take the vaccine. But yet still, they're saying to you, if you have special conditions, you have to get a doctor's paper, but the doctors are not giving you a paper. They don't want to give you a paper, Mark. They don't want to give you. And I'm telling you this because these are things that have been told to me by persons who have been affected. And this whole issue of these pensioners, it is sad. It is sad, Mark. Imagine these people serve for so many years. They're in their 80s and some of them, 70 something and some over the 65 and over. And you're telling them that unless they provide a PCR, which costs is how much is the pension for some of them? 25,000? It's the same amount of money. So it's like you're collecting this money to just do PCR testing. And if not, they have to take the vaccine and they have concerns. They have underlying issues. What are we doing, Mark? Where is
Lots, lots and lots of problems, Miss Kisoon. Lots and lots of problems. The country is in a mess. The school system is in a mess. Priya Manikchan and the regime, they do not want to tell you this, that a lot of schools, their teachers, some of the teachers are infected. Some of them, the students are tested positive and all these things. But because they want to prove a point, Priya and them want to prove a point, they're not going to come back and say they're going to shut the schools down. They're not. They prefer that people die.
But they said that anyhow, Mark.
That's just
Mark, they said that. So Jagdeo said that, Priya said that. I remember at President's College in the presence of parents and so on, that some of y'all gonna get the corona, some of y'all gonna dead, some of y'all. Now some of us, I listen to people when they say certain things. Some of y'all. You understand?
Yeah, we all
some
do
of y'all.
Not
some of us.
I don't know. Look,
Jagdeo said
before,
people got to dead.
yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? He didn't say some of us will die. And these are the things we have to be cognizant of. We got to listen when people, but I'm saying to you again, Mark, and I want to plead with the Guyanese people. This is not about political party, political affiliation. It's not about who being you black Mark, black I Indian, this Amerindian, you know, and you know how we call one another on the ground, as you want to say it, you know. But I tell people, I am Ram Kisoon. I should have been Mongol. And in fact, I should have been Ram Kisoon. I'm here sitting as Vanessa Kisoon, but I'm Ram Kisoon and I should have been Mongol. So what are you going to say to me? And we're not here for that. The Guyanese people are being affected, whether it's the farmers, whether it's the nurses, the teachers, single mothers, whether it's our sons being gunned down now, cold-bloodedly being murdered in the presence of their loved ones. Mark, my question is, when are we going to wake up? And when are we going to unite? And when are we going to fight this fight together? Whether it's a physical fight in the form of peaceful protests or the spiritual fight, when the pastors and the religious leaders are supposed to be coming out now and praying and calling, you understand, for healing in this land. We're here again under this wicked regime, the shedding of innocent blood again, Mark. It's happening again. Mothers are crying again. Fathers will be weeping, sons and daughters, wives, blood running in the streets like water again, Mark. When are we going to wake up?
You know, Ms. Kisoon, probably because I do believe in a God, right? And only God knows why I am not in Guyana at the present time. Only God knows. I'm glad that you were my guest tonight, my co-host, Sari. I'm glad we have had this conversation. And I'm also glad, Miss Kisoon, that you are one of the Kisoons that I respect. A Kisoon that speaks the truth. A Kisoon that doesn't speak with forked tongue. A Kisoon that doesn't dilly-dally and zigzag on issues. A Kisoon that truly believes in human rights and people. You are a Kisoon who doesn't complain every single day. You are a Kisoon who actually fight. You are a Kisoon who actually believes in people. You're not a Kisoon who complain every day about what the regime did to you and all of these things. You are a Kisoon who have contributed towards the development of our country. Miss Kisoon, I take my hat off to you. Congratulations and thank you for all that you do for the people of Guyana and for betterment for all of the people. Thank you, Kisoon. You are a Kisoon that I will always respect and remember. Salute to you, Miss Kisoon. Your closing remarks.
Thank you very much, Mark. I do appreciate all that you're doing also. And I know you just said God knows why you're not in Guyana. Um, but it doesn't mean that you can't come home at a time like this. And I know you won't have any issue of coming home because you're fully vaccinated. So you will not have any issue and I'm not showing any hints here, Mark, you know. But in closing, on a serious note, Mark, I'm concerned about the future of our children. I always say that because we're moving on. We're moving on. Next couple of years, when I say couple, I don't mean two in thing, but we know that someone will be running the Mark Benschop show. It might be one of the junior Benshops might be taking on that task, and it might be a junior Vanessa, a little Kisoon that is coming up. That when
Might
some
be
person,
it might be Ibu. Ibu. You see, I remember his name.
Ebo. Mark, my
Ibu.
son's name is Ebo. No, it's no, I'm talking about the female Kisoon. And but I am very much concerned about the future of our children. And like I said before, this fight, it's not just for us. We are here, we are fighting, we're sounding our voices, we're standing up against injustice because we all have children, and those are the future leaders of tomorrow. Those are the ones that will take this country forward. And those are the ones that we have to mold, and those are the ones that we have to impart knowledge and everything in. And we cannot just say to them that it's okay to just accept anything, Mark. We have to ensure, and we have to set the stage. We have to pave the way. By God's grace, we will do that. By God's grace, we will continue to fight, Mark. By God's grace, we will continue, Mark, to speak out, and we will not complain. We will not cry out and behave petty. What we will do is we will stand up as mothers, we will stand up as fathers. And I want to call on all, not just Linden and Region 10. I applaud my colleagues here. I love Linden and Region 10. I love my teachers. I love my students, my parents. And I know that we believe in each other. We're going to go out there. I'm calling on the taxi drivers and the minibus drivers, because I want to say this. If you notice, Mark, the thing is coming down. It is coming down, Mark. And so soon, right here in Linden, they're going to be stopping cars and buses and asking you and telling you can't, take your passengers to town because you cannot produce a card and all of that. And so I'm appealing with all of us, and not only just in Linden. We need to be all around this country. And I'm also calling on the leaders. We need to see more boots of leaders on the ground. We need to see more boots of these leaders on the ground, Mark, not just individuals. Yes, and I agree with Apostle London. Individuals also have to recognize what is happening and to rise up and to stand up for their rights too. But we also have people that we place into authority, into position, because we believe that they would do, you understand, and they will represent us, and they will speak on our behalf at times, and they will come on the ground and speak with us, and they will come on the ground and mobilize and come on the ground and meet with your people. We're not seeing that. That is lacking. This is not, and I say this again, this is not about the vaccinated against the unvaxxed or the half-vaxxed or the one dose vax. This is about human rights. This is about people's rights. This is about our constitutional rights, and so being violated. And so we have to come together in order. If we want the victory, you understand, it must be a people's struggle. It must be a united struggle. It must be a struggle where we're seeing one vision, where we know what we're fighting for, where we know what we're standing up for and standing up against, and we're standing up against wickedness and rulers and wickedness in high places, Mark. And so we have to come together, whether we on the ground with the boots, whether we are in the rooms and we're interceding and intercessing. We need to come out and we need to speak out. And every one of us, Mark, every one of us have a part to play. And I will always say that even when we're out there as teachers and we're out there in that sun as parents and auxiliary staff, we're out there standing up for our rights, Mark. Even the bus driver or the taxi driver or the shopkeeper that sends a case of water or that provides some snacks for us, every one of us have a role to play. Every one of us have a part to play. We may not all be able to come out into the streets for different reasons, but we can be there to give support. We can be there to lend support. And listen, we have to also stand up against this thing that started again, where our sons are being murdered. Their doors are being kick down whatever time in it. Imagine that, the wee hours, as old people say, right? The wee hours of the morning, you go, oh my goodness, may Almighty God bless his family. May he give his family, give Boston's family the strength, his wife, his mother, and others the strength to carry on through this time. And we pray that they will get justice and that the people of Guyana will come out now, and we will not encourage this wicked regime to continue, not for another 23 years, not for another 4 or 5 years. We will stand up against injustice, and we will take our country back, and we will ensure that the rights of our people are being respected and not violated. And I'm calling on my young leaders. I know you're out there. I know you're hearing me tonight. This is the time where we need to come back up, where we need to get back into the communities, where we need to meet with our people, and we need to let them know. And my people, I am calling on you. We need to come out. Let us stand up against injustice. Because if we don't, the future of our children and our grandchildren will be doomed. God forbid. Mark Anthony Benschop, I thank you for having me here, for having me as your co-host tonight. I thank you because we need to continue to speak to these issues, to continue, because let me say this, who have ears, let them hear, who have eyes, let them see. You understand? And we know that what we're doing here and what you continue to do, Mark, sometimes we might feel it's going on deaf ground, or you know, people are not hearing, but they're hearing. They're hearing, Mark. Even the 10-year-olds are hearing. Even the 11-year-olds, they're hearing. Even the little babies, because out of the mouths of babes and suckling, right? And so we have to, Mark, continue. We have to continue the fight. Whether you're in Guyana, you're out of Guyana, we have to continue this fight, because united we fall, divided we stand. But I want to say to my people, and I want to send this message loud and clear: no retreat, no surrender. Boots on the ground, we ain't backing down. We will continue the struggle, the people's struggle. We will continue together, and we can only do this in unity, playing our part in our different capacity. It's not about personality, Mark. It's not about personalities, Mark. It's about the issue, and it's about human rights being violated and not respected. So let us ensure that our message is clear, and that the people all across Guyana understand what we're fighting for. And this is not about the political people and all that. We're fighting that our rights be respected as a people, and that our sons can live and fulfill their futures and their destinies, and not being murdered in the wee hours of the morning by a wicked, uncaring regime.
Boots on the ground. We ain't backing down. Want to see boots on the ground indeed, and we've been hearing a lot of boots on the ground. We hear about it one day and then we don't hear about it at all. But consistency does matter. Consistency matters.
Matters,
Don't
exactly.
come and say boots on the ground, and then the next day people put on their boots and they can't find y'all. Some of y'all know who I'm talking about. Boots on the ground should be consistent. Shutting down should be consistent.
Consistent.
Locking
I agree
down
with
should
you,
be
Mark.
consistent. I don't know. Ms. Vanessa Kisoon, I thank you so much. I love hearing when you speak, and this is from my heart. You're one of the Kisoons that I like to hear when you speak now. You're not one, like I've said, that dilly-dallies on issues. But I'm looking at some of the comments, and people are saying they want you back. I don't know. You seem to be taking over the show, which is a good thing. And one of these days, you know, the Spirit is talking to me right now. And the Spirit is telling me that Vanessa Kisoon should have her own show on Benschop Radio 107.1 FM. Call it the Vanessa Kisoon Show, or call it Showdown Time. We'll talk about that. You never know. Look,
By God's grace, Mark, once God's willing and the Spirit leads, it will happen by His grace.
You probably should name the show Shut Down, We Not Bow Down. Let them people in the regime know that. Miss Kisun, thank you so much for your time. Give my regards to your beautiful family and continue doing what you're doing for your country. You are a patriot. Hope the next time you're back that those people at Congress Place, those leaders at Congress Place will give you your darn membership card back. Thank you, Miss Kisun.
Thank you very much, Mark. And you
Thank
know
you.
my position on that. You
Oh,
have
yeah.
all the contacts to deal with that matter, Mark.
Thank you so much. Have a great rest of the night, Miss Kisun.
You too, Mark. And give
God
my
bless.
regards to your beautiful family. And I hope little Emma continues to keep you busy.
Thank you. She's probably fast asleep, but thank you so much, Miss Kisun. God bless.
Thank you too, Mark.
Sure. All right. Kisun. The Kisun that is on the right track. Vanessa Kisun. Can't go wrong with that Kisun. Can't go wrong. That Kisun, Vanessa Kisun, speaks the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. She doesn't lie. She speaks the truth. She doesn't panic. She speaks the truth. She's not emotional. She speaks the truth. She's not erratic. She speaks the truth. That is a definition of a patriotic Kisun. My name is Mark Benschop. I thank you all so much. I wanted to leave you guys with something that my little son actually did on TikTok. But I was wavering whether to do it or not under the circumstances. I know a lot of people are mourning, are crying out in that country. Teachers are crying, nurses are crying, doctors are crying, police men and women are crying, soldiers are crying, citizens throughout the country are crying. It's not easy. It is just not easy at all. All because of a blighting government, a government that seems to be practicing witchcraft, all sort of devil behavior, you name it. It is as though they don't give a damn about people. Their intention is about swearing people, corruption, bribery, whether through some sort of whatever schemes that they have. When they notice that people are coming against them, they rush back into their rooms and they say that we are going to give them $5,000, $4,000. That is going to shut them up. They're going to take them into a little room to spin some machine, to win some books or some soap or some soap powder or some blue. That is how they're running the country. 50,000 jobs they promise you. Where are those jobs? Instead, what they're doing, people are dying every day. Almost 800 persons have died as a result of their recklessness with the COVID-19 pandemic. Their recklessness. They're not talking about using masks. They're not talking about every citizen in that country should wear a mask or they're going to be given a ticket and these sort. They're not doing that. They're not saying that. They want to catch you, squeeze you, put you in a lock, and they're going to force you to take a vaccine. I'm not anti-vax, mind you, so I get that clear. I took the vaccine. I hope people will take the vaccine once they are comfortable taking it. A lot of these people in the regime and their relatives are unvaccinated. A lot of them are unvaccinated, but they want to barge into your homes and push a needle up your arm. I don't know. Right now at the COVID-19 hospital, it's overcrowded. About 6 or 7 persons died today. It is overcrowded, understaffed. People don't know who will be next or what is happening in that country. Meanwhile, members of the catfish regime, wild hogs, we see some of them commenting here today, wild hogs, Maybe we shouldn't call them trench croppers anymore. We should say, look, they're there. Look, the wild hogs are there. And now some people might say that's a little bit too harsh in calling people hogs and so forth. No, you're not calling people hogs. Their actions are hog-like. Because some people get sensitive only when these words are uttered towards them. But they don't get sensitive when people call other people hungry belly dogs and all these different things. We don't hear statements about these things. We don't. When Nicolette Henry was the Minister of Health, of Education, when we were calling her, I was actually one of them that calling her Diwali and mixing up Pagwa and all these different things. These groups didn't come out and say, in fact, I called Nicolette Henry, Dr. Nicolette Henry Pagwali. Of course it was in humor. But these women, in the WPO didn't come out and not even Priya Manichan she didn't say that was wrong, you're disrespecting women and all. She never said that. In fact, she was laughing. She loved that. She enjoyed that. They enjoy these sort of things. But when the time comes to them for it to be dished out to them, they don't like it at all. Hypocrites, a bunch of goddamn hypocrites. That's who they are. That's what they're about. Let's also pray for the members of the workers of the foreign service offices. A lot of them will lose their jobs. A lot of them will be recalled. Lots and lots of problems in that country. I don't know. I've got to go, man. I've got to go. But I want to leave you with something for you to smile. It's not just all about tears, right? It's not. We must smile about something. And so getting back to my 9-year-old son, who they love to see their dad happy. And I know a lot of you out there love to see your favorite host happy also. And so I want to see many of you happy, even though you're going through your trying times and these sort of things. Enjoy this little video produced by Jonathan Anthony Benschop. It's a song he doesn't really understand that it's more political, but he heard me listening to the song and he started to video me. He said, "Dad, dance." And so I danced. A lot of you would know what this song is about. A lot of you would know who this song is directed to. Enjoy it. Try it at home. It works. Stress relief. It works. We do need a lot of that. Stress relief. It's trying times. Try it at home, please. It is yard fowl. It is called a yard fowl dance. Tell it to that number one yard fowl in that country that there is now a dance. It is called the yard fowl dance. It's called a yard fowl. God bless you and God bless our beautiful country, man. I'll see you guys tomorrow, same place, same time. Ganesh Mahipal should have been on tonight. This is his time. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to make it. But Ganesh, see you next week. And to all of you, God bless you all. I love you. Bye-bye.
It's hard to be at peace with the ones who are so discard. It's hard. Them have a knife in your back and them smile it so broad. Help me to deal with the ones them who said them love me when them really don't. Help me to deal
deal with the fans them. Kill me flesh when the crowd a shout. Jesus, help me on the battlefield. Jesus, help me on the battlefield. Help me on the battlefield. Cause the booby traps with them set is real. I never want to take your glory, Lord. Send your angels to encamp around about me and stand guard. To envy is so easy and to love it is so hard. Let me work for your glory and not for the award. Don't make me ever get caught up in the scream and the applause. And go talk about the blessing and not talk about the Lord. All these things are vanity. I need your reward. Let me be real. Don't put on no facade. Help me to deal with the ones them who said them love me when them really don't. Help me to deal with the fans them. Give me flesh when the crowd a shout. Jesus, help me on the battlefield. Jesus, help me on the battlefield. Help me on the battlefield. Cause the booby traps with them set is real. Sticks and stones can break my bones and words can harm me. They can harm me. When the evil come against me, you'll protect me. You'll protect me. Father, I need the strength of your son. Jesus. Cause you know my work is not done. Lord, I need that endurance just to finish this race that I run. Help me to deal with the ones them who said them love me when them really don't. And help me to deal with the fans them. Kill me flesh when the crowd are shout. Jesus, help me on the battlefield. Jesus, help me on the battlefield. Help me on the battlefield. Cause the booby traps with them set is real. You tell me to stand firm. Cause every little plan you have a confirm. I know them evil plan turn. In a darkness me a the lantern. So help me to deal with the ones that who said them love me when them really don't. Jesus, help me to deal with the fans them. Kill me flesh when the crowd a shout. Help me on the battlefield. Jesus, help me on the battlefield. Help me on the battlefield. Cause the booby traps with them set is real. Help me to deal with the ones them who said them love me when them really don't. Help me to deal with the fans them. Kill me flesh when the crowd a shout. Jesus, help me on the battlefield. Jesus, help me on the battlefield. Help me on the battlefield. Cause the booby traps with them set is real. Help me to deal with the ones them who said them love me when them really don't. Help me to deal with the fans them. Give me